Telecast.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby and welcome to another telecast. For more videos on YouTube for TV and content production, just hit subscribe in the button below. How do you get noticed and build an audience on YouTube? How do you master optimization and get the powerful algorithms working for you to get your content discovered on the platform? Well, here to answer all that and more, we have Graham Swallow, Head of Data and Product Strategy at Little Dot Studios, with a list of 10 quick tips and tricks from thumbnail design to metadata and search engine optimization to help surface your content, be it library or new original content on YouTube. Welcome to the show, Graham.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you on the show. Really looking forward to getting into the detail of this. And we had James Loveridge on the show a couple of weeks ago, where we were just talking about the overall approach to YouTube for TV producers. We're going to get more into the weeds of it here, so with some real practical tips. I'm looking forward to doing that. So first of all, tell us about your role at Little Dot Studios. What is you do and who you do it for?
So I've been at Little Dot Studios for three and a half years. So joined during the pandemic. My role is three things in the job title: data, product, and technology. Generally, bringing the tech and the data together to build products that both service our internal stakeholders as well as our clients to optimize performance across the massive amount of content that we own and distribute on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So just a small brief, really.
Yeah. Well, give us an idea of that then. How many channels and clients you're working across? Just a sort of broad brushstroke.
Okay, so the big numbers. I think we manage around 700 channels. It changes week to week, so a fair few. We deliver on average 8 to 10 billion views every month across not just YouTube, but other social video platforms. We receive around 250 million rows of data every 24 hours, which is what the tech part of my job is about. So yeah, we're huge in scale, probably one of the biggest globally in terms of what we do. Right.
Okay. So you're the right man to tell us
Absolutely.
how to get your optimization right on YouTube. Okay, brilliant. Well, so we've got a bit of a list, a top 10 list, not necessarily in order of importance, but a top 10 list all the same. Before we go into that, tell us why optimization matters so much then.
Oh, wow. I mean, these are platforms that are in service to their viewers, and the viewers are telling the platforms every minute of every single day with their viewing choices what it is that they want to see. And we can pick up on those signals. So unlike a traditional media environment where you kind of have to go on gut or instinct or an idea and hope it works, we can see within minutes, hours of uploading a video, and so can anyone else, how well that's performing, how many people are watching it, how long they're watching it for. So I would almost put it back the other way and say ignoring that opportunity would be madness. So optimization is the absolute minimum that you would be doing on YouTube and other social media platforms, because usually you are trying to reach more viewers, convert more people to your channel, sell more things, and make more money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a new skill set that TV producers really are used to being business to business, in the business to business sales funnel, if you like, and making a show for a broadcaster. The broadcaster has to worry about getting the audience, but obviously it's in everybody's interest for it to be successful. They'll get a new commission. Commissioning isn't happening a lot at the moment, so therefore the skills that a TV producer needs and all the data that they need to understand and use and optimize essentially to make their own content surface is so much more important. It's just a real skill set that everybody needs to get to grips with if they're going to publish on YouTube. So let's kick off with the first tip out of our top 10. What's the number 10?
Number 10. So it's learning something from every upload, either from your fans or how it performed for every upload that you do, really from day one until day forever, because you will learn something about either the way you produce that content, when it was uploaded, how it was uploaded, the thumbnail that was attached. So every single time you do something, there will be some metrics to inform you in your decision making for the next video, something you could do a little bit differently or expand on or minimize if your viewers are telling you that they don't like it. So I think that's kind of, it sounds like hopelessly generic, right? Or just learn something from everything you do. But I think it's true. And I think we sometimes forget that too. You know, we might have produced 5,000 pieces of content for a channel, but that doesn't mean that we stop learning about the 5,001st content that we put up.
Yeah, well, it's also it's things that you can actually affect yourself, but sometimes it's external trends that are developing, isn't it? I mean, an example of that is we interviewed Patrick Spence for Telecast a few weeks ago, talking about Mr. Bates versus a post office. That was one of our first videos, and literally in the last 2 weeks, the views have just shot up because it's on in the States. You know, PBS is showing the show in the States, and it's become a real talking point. But it's also, that's an external factor, but also it's about hashtags that you're using, maybe tweaking your title, for example, and making sure that that is ever optimized. And you can do that, can't you? You can do that all the time. The number of titles that you have for that one video, you can change it as often as you want, right?
No one's ever going to punish you for it. YouTube isn't going to say, "Oh, you've changed the title 3 times. We're going to strike you down for the 4th." It's you can mess with it as much as you like. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And there is a particular skill set, I think, with titles, writing the right title. It's not just about it being descriptive. This is what is in this video. It needs to grab the attention of the viewer, doesn't it? And it needs to work in tandem with the thumbnail, which I know we're going to talk a little bit more about. But okay.
So we're just actually on titles. We're just embarking this week on a test where we are asking ChatGPT to suggest titles for videos that we've already published, and we're going to use a particular method of machine learning to keep optimizing against those suggested titles to see if there's improvements. And we're being fairly conservative. We're not pulling radical ideas from the sky, so we're avoiding some of the hallucinations that AI is perhaps capable of. But we're really testing that theory to the absolute max, that potentially there is a best title, and we're going to scale that across thousands of videos.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to try this out with this video when we get that published, and we're going to try various different titles in the weeks following its publication and see which one's working best. But there is a definite skill set. I mean, is there one tip that you could give when you talk about titles as to what is the optimal title? If you're coming up with that now, forget ChatGPT and what that's going to suggest. But if you say one rule of thumb when you think about what your title should be,
say what it is. Your users are people like you and I, surprisingly enough, who are looking for videos to watch and want to know what is in that video. So tell them. I think that's the most straightforward. There are occasions where you see videos that are clearly trying to hop on trends. They're using stuff that is out there in the market just for clicks, but people very quickly will move away from your video if it isn't what you think it or what they think it should be. So look at the piece of content, think about what it is, condense that down into a catchy title.
Okay, and it doesn't need to be clickbait. It just needs to attract the opposite clickbait. Okay, brilliant.
I don't know what the opposite of clickbait is.
No. Well, we need to coin a new phrase for that by the end of the show. Let's have a go. All right. Number 9.
Number 9. So it's probably the dullest sounding topic, particularly if you're from the creative world. Metadata, which, I mean, even I can't stand the term. It's so dull. But it refers to the stuff that isn't video that is attached to the video. We talked a bit about the title. but there are also the description for your video would be classed as metadata, the thumbnail, but there are also tags that aren't visible to the user but help tell YouTube what your video is, and hashtags that are a way of navigating common video themes if you add them. So that's metadata. And what I would say is make an effort with it. Don't ignore it. Spend the time to make sure that the tags are relevant to the content, that the title is relevant, that the thumbnail gives an image of what the user audience should expect from the video itself. The description, you've got quite a lot of space. Add more words, not less. Use the metadata.
Yeah, and it's often the kind of the most boring part of it, I suppose, if you're a creative, when you're actually about to publish a video, because you've got crafted this brilliant video, you're really excited to share it. But as you say, there's loads of fields of information in YouTube Studio for you to fill in and help surface this content. And, there are hundreds of character spaces that you can put in there. So it's about making use of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you are completely right. Yes, when you've done the creative stuff of making the video and all those decisions that go into it, and the thumbnail arguably as well, which is, a hugely creative area, the last thing you want to be then starting to do is thinking about, well, okay, it's a video and it's Gordon Ramsay, but what's he cooking? Oh, it's fried eggs and bacon. And where's he cooking it? Oh, it's in his home. So we want to make sure we capture those elements of the video. It just feels mundane. And there's certainly you can go out there and search on the internet. You will see many, many people who say that tags don't matter. YouTube themselves say, it would be useful if you put them, but we're not going to punish you if you don't, or not in so many words. But we've been running quite an interesting experiment over the first few months of this year, where we've put literally thousands of videos into one group, which we are leaving the tags as they are, never changing them, whether they are good, bad, or indifferent. And then we've got another 1,000 where, using a combination of AI and machine learning, we are optimizing those tags. Every 7 days, we can choose whether we optimize to a different set of tags or change some of them or change all of them. And the model will consistently do this every week and every week and every week. And over the course of now 3.5 months, we've got about 20,000 videos in the experiment. So we believe it to be a pretty representative sample. The videos that are having tags optimized, remember this is just the invisible to the user tags that go into each video. When they are optimized, we see around, well, depending on the channel, anywhere between 10 and 30% more views from search for that content, which, first of all, disproves, finally, that tags don't matter. They clearly do. And it also tells us that YouTube needs information to know what to show people. Okay, if I'm searching for how to fry an egg, then probably it makes sense that your tags include reference to the fact you're showing people how to fry an egg, because that makes it easy for YouTube to say, show the individual this video, and also the individual knows that the video they're seeing is relevant to the search that they've just made. So we will be very quickly moving all of our content into this mechanism.
Right. Okay. And so, for an example of frying an egg, how to fry an egg, so being very clear, this is not hashtags we're talking about. This is tags.
Yes.
So this is, as you say, it's a field within YouTube Studio that you can fill in information that is not only regarding that subject, but perhaps connected to that subject as well. So for how to fry an egg, you might say frying pan. You might actually have, egg recipe. You might have
kitchen basics.
So it's actually, it's like throwing a net out, isn't it, essentially, over your content to think, what is possibly relevant to my content that is going to surface this with the widest possible people. Okay, interesting. All right, tags. So tags do matter.
They do matter.
All right, good. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I've been spending hours. You have 500 characters in that box, so use them. Okay, brilliant. Number 8.
So number 8 was a bit of a pivot away from things you don't see to things you really do see. Some of your guests have talked about this on previous podcasts, but YouTube is the dominant platform in the living room. Okay. In the US, there are more hours of streaming on YouTube than any other service. In the UK, I think YouTube is set to overtake Netflix this year if the lines continue in the way they are. And so if I'm producing content that I think is going to be viewed at least to a large minority, potentially a majority at home, what does it look like on a 50-inch TV rather than on my monitor on my desk or on my smartphone? I want to see that thumbnail blown up to 50 inches. I want to know how much of my title is visible. Is there any element of the description is visible? Do I have some branding that works in a home environment? So these aren't really answers. These are tips to say, okay, if you want people to navigate to your content, then make it easy for them to do that in an environment where you are probably likely to get the longest watch times, the most repeat viewing, and if you're monetizing your content, then the largest amounts of revenue.
So I found this really tricky to do when I was actually setting up telecasts. So it's about creating some artwork that is going to work on a mobile phone, which is also going to work on an iPad, which is also going to work on a 50-inch TV screen.
Yeah.
And there are guidelines that YouTube does kind of give you, and it's like, this is how it's going to look when you upload your artwork. But it's really tricky to master this, actually. And I wasted hours doing it. What I've got at the moment isn't great, but it's kind of all right. But I do need to work on that more. So let's not think about YouTube as purely for iPad or purely for your mobile. Really think first and foremost about the TV in the corner of your room and how you're optimizing for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was a betting man, I would probably say that it's highly likely that YouTube are going to, first of all, relaunch their smart TV, connected TV experience, whether that be through app design or internal mechanics to surface certain types of content with different assets. Whether it's this year or within the next 2 or 3 years, I imagine we're probably likely to have the option to upload your smart TV thumbnail, your mobile thumbnail, and your everything else thumbnail, or different reses of individual imagery, potentially different titles that are used for different devices so that you are optimized for that experience. At the moment, as you say, it's hard because you have one asset, one thumbnail, one title, one description, and that is going to be shared across all of those devices that clearly have very different navigational kind of experiences for the audience. So I think we're probably going to see YouTube help us out with that.
All right. Okay. So kind of think more about YouTube as long form, as TV, as opposed to it being purely mobile, which again is something that I think is a bit of a myth that still exists within the TV industry. People say, oh, YouTube, immediately think short form. So that's obviously it is an element of it, but by no means the only element.
Yeah. So just on that, just a data point that I think will probably nail that once and for all. I'll maybe turn it around to you. So 3.5 years ago, 2020. I'll rewind a tiny bit. Across any channel that you manage, you can see what users watch after they have watched your content, and also what they were watching before they watched your content. And quite often that's stuff that isn't on your channel or any channel that you own or manage or have any access to, but you do get the video title. So what we did was looked at the top 500 suggested videos across our entire portfolio, right? A huge amount of channels. So not biased in any particular direction. We have clients big and small. And the average length of a video suggested by YouTube was 15 minutes. Do you want to guess what that was in 2023?
In 2023, 20 minutes?
92.
92.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So the audience is asking for, and YouTube is providing them with, longer and longer content, and people are watching it. This is not a 10 or 15 minute clip service, if you want to call it that. This is very, very different to that. This is lean back, long duration viewing.
Right. Okay. 90 minutes. Wow. Okay. That's a good metric to remember. Okay. Next tip.
I mean, I thought this was going to be the first time we'd mention AI, but it seems it's already come up a couple of times. So I would try and use AI to help in lots of different ways. This isn't a specific tip. So we've already said it can help you suggest titles for your video, and some of them are very good, and you can test them to see how good they are. You can also use AI to do things that maybe you just don't have the skill set to do. I use it to do things that I don't have the skill set to do. I'm not a data scientist, for example, and I've taken large lists of YouTube videos and asked ChatGPT to go and tell me what the genres and topics are in those videos, and then to cluster those topics so I can see if there's any patterns of people watching for longer videos that talk about certain themes, or if there are any maybe groups that we can spot which might indicate that there are certain audiences that are interested in different elements within a particular piece of IP. And that's really sophisticated statistical analysis put in the hands of an idiot like me, and I'm probably misusing it. And all the data scientists, including the ones that I work with, have shaken their head in dismay at the fact that I'm doing this. But it can really help to speed up what you can learn about the audience that you're trying to serve with your content, or what's working on your channel, when maybe you don't have the best Excel skills or the best statistical skills, or maybe the best creative skills if you come from that side. So yeah, I'd just say look at AI as your assistant to fill in the gaps.
And you're talking about ChatGPT specifically?
I am in this instance, yeah. I mean, we use Midjourney as well for image generation, but I mean, there's now a number of different challengers to ChatGPT that have broadly similar skill sets.
Yeah,
we just kind of we've picked ChatGPT, and that's who we're using predominantly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just interested to know, what data ChatGPT has been trained on to be able to give you great title suggestions and great tag suggestions, but presumably it's the general internet, and that includes Google and YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, we'll prompt it. So we'll say, here's our title for the video, here's what's in it, maybe the title and description, and say, can you suggest 20 other video titles, and please follow this format, and also don't be too crazy with your suggestions. And it kind of listens. We're doing this through the API, so that it's coding those instructions, and it will come back with your list of 20. Sometimes it just does 19 or 22 just because AI and it does that. So we're providing the context it needs. It's using its language model to work with that context and suggest different outputs.
So with different titles then, how many typically will you try on a video? So for example, it gives you 20. So maybe you say, okay, we're going to try 5. Might you change a title every week and to see how that performs? Because the other thing is, like, I imagine don't switch too many bits of data at the same time, because you might not know what's necessarily working. Don't change your tags at the same time you're going to change your title, right?
Yes. So I'll try and answer this more from what you can do if you don't have a data science team at your disposal, which I'm lucky enough to have. So in that sense, I would be doing it just manually, right? I would look and see, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, change to a different title, get a sense of, is there a better view through rate, maybe view retentions changing slightly, or some metrics that you might think might be linked. What we're doing to try and do this at scale is we are giving the model a goal, which is to maximize watch time, and it will change the title no more than once a week in order to decide what the best title is according to all the metrics that it can crunch.
Okay, so roughly give it a week.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, tip number 6.
Tip number 6. I've definitely been guilty of this, so I'll put myself in this category, but try not to get lost chasing some vanity metric. We've talked about views, we've talked about watch time, we'll have talked about subscribers or engagements or shares, comments, all of the kind of vomit of numbers and data that comes out of any channel, and YouTube is no different. But I would say just be laser focused on what you are trying to achieve with that channel and try to ignore all the other noise around it. So if you are trying to grow a channel, then reach probably is quite important, because you are trying to get not just views but unique viewers, maybe grow the subscriber base. If it's about monetization, well, then stick with revenue as your goal. And quite often, lots of views don't necessarily mean lots of revenue if they are viewing the wrong type of thing. So that's kind of what I would say, and try to avoid. And I know it's difficult because we'll be asked by other colleagues or management or whatever to show how well this strategy is doing, and maybe you're not quite hitting the revenue target, but your views are really 200% growth. That's going to look good on a chart. So I'm going to show that. So I would just kind of try and think twice about what happens when you dive into that kind of world of just showing the big number, because the reality is it's not the big number that tells you whether your channel is successful. It's the number that matters.
Right. Okay. So if we're talking about revenue, then first of all, is that watch time? Is that the greatest metric that you should be concerned about if it's revenue generation?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Brilliant. Yeah. Simple answer. That's fantastic. Okay. Let's go on to tip number 5, Graham.
So you could probably link the last tip with this one, which is particularly with YouTube, it takes time, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in 6 months. It might take a year of slowly developing and growing. And you'll hit certain milestones as you go. But particularly if you are starting a channel from scratch, even with an existing IP that has really good brand knowledge, like a TV show popular in the 90s, for argument's sake, and you are launching a YouTube channel, you've got access to hundreds of hours of content, you can do whatever you like with it. It's still going to take time to build the audience and I hate the term, but the brand around the reliability of the quality of your content that will keep people coming back to it. And I think that's surprising. I think we expect, well, I just put it up there, I'll get 1 million views, and then the next one will get 10 million, and we'll all be, seeing the dollar signs. But in actual fact, it can take 6 to 12 months to really grow a channel from a standing start to meaningful delivery.
So you saying that YouTube rewards you for consistency in that case? For example, if you're going to publish once a week for 52 weeks in a row, then you will at that point, and obviously optimize everything as you go, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be much more successful if you're consistent and publishing at the same time every week, rather than, like you say, sticking a video up, more sporadically and expecting that to see growth just on the back of the fact that it's, I don't know, California Highway Patrol episode 3. It's about nurturing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We a few years ago we had a kind of a methodology. We called it the digital connection score, that was about trying to capture all the essence of growing a footprint across social media. It wasn't just YouTube. And we had Sow, Nourish and Grow, and the nourish element was regular posting. And I would kind of caution against thinking about YouTube and think more about people, right? It's people who are watching the content, and are they likely to want to binge 20 hours of California Highway Patrol?
Chips, yeah.
Possibly.
I don't know why I came out with that. Sorry, but it just, Eric Estrada just came into my head. Sorry.
Or maybe just having that interest tweaked, and they'll get a few hours here and there. Maybe I'll just dip in and watch a little bit more and watch a little bit more. We don't always want to binge. And when we are talking about the platform, they will kind of study recency as a bit of a flag for, okay, well, nobody's seen this, or few people have seen this because it's only just been uploaded, so we'll test this out with some of our audience. So there is a bit of a recency thing. So you're going to share your content in a regular way, and I think it's expectation, it's audience expectation. this channel is live, it's good quality, there's going to be new stuff 3 times a week, once a week, whatever the cadence is.
All right. Brilliant. Okay. Tip number 4.
So this is about thumbnails. And we talked a bit about thumbnails sort of in a roundabout way. And I think for those who are interested in YouTube, Mr. Beast potentially is guilty of making people think that they need to produce 30, I think, thumbnails for every video was what he said. But also Mr. Beast is a company of 40 people, and several of those are making thumbnails for every video. I would be less about optimizing, testing, delivering loads, and being more creatively led about what is it that your thumbnail is going to tell the user about your content. You might want a consistent brand. If it's a show IP, make sure you show that clearly, visually, simply, so that the user, when they're looking at 100 different thumbnails on the screen or whatever it is, they know that this is from that show and it's from the official channel for that show and it's going to be good and it's about this character or it's about this scene from this show. So just be really clear about what it is you're informing the user through the thumbnail, and then be consistent. So stick with it, because those little triggers in users' mind, and people will remember, oh yeah, I watched a video with that kind of branding before, it's really good. I'll watch this one instead of that one. And that's really what you're trying to do, is you're kind of saying, okay, well, you've got these choices. This is the one that you want to click and view versus these others. And there's some really good examples. I'd urge people to go and look at maybe the FX YouTube channel and look at the way they have visually differentiated between the different shows that they produce, and also how clear the show branding is on some of them. If you look at, and they've got Fargo, they've got Shogun, they've got a couple of other, and they're really, really different in terms of brand identity and show identity. So you know what you're navigating to on the page. And they're just visually appealing, right? They just look nice, and people like nice things. So
yeah, it's psychology, isn't it? It's you're going to click on something that looks nicer than, the 20 other slightly dodgier thumbnails that it's served up against. So and presumably once you focus in on that thumbnail, then that's when the title becomes super important as well, doesn't it? When the two are working together.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say is, just don't be obsessive about the numbers. So you can see the click-through rate or the view-through rate. So every time your thumbnail is shown to somebody, that tracks an impression. And then if somebody then clicks to view that video, then you've got the view, and YouTube will give you the view-through rate. And we see wild differences between content, 10 or 20 times different, sometimes even on the same channel. And I would just caution against becoming obsessed with that particular metric. We mentioned clickbait right at the start. You want people to click on your thumbnail because it is the thing that they want to watch, not because of the thumbnail in and of itself. Because we just said earlier as well, watch time equals revenue. So just clicks are worthless. It's views that are worth the money and the effort. So
right.
Give people what they are looking for.
Okay, so it's also about expectation management, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's attracting people, but then delivering on that click.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, number 3. We're up to the top 3.
We are. So this is very YouTube, and this probably will speak to a lot of your audience. It seems simple, but YouTube offers tons and tons of different features. At its most basic, upload a video, that's it. But there are so many different ways to create content, engage with the users on the platform, use different features of the platform, multi-language, captions, long descriptions, hashtags for navigation, tags we've talked about, but also playlists can be very important for certain people. Are you doing live streams? They're not really talked about. People think of live streams for sport, but anyone can use live streams, and YouTube treats live streams quite differently in terms of the way they surface it to users. And there are probably 30 to 35 different individual areas on a YouTube channel that you can optimize. I'm not saying that you definitely should do, but that offer an opportunity for you to look at, engage, and maybe improve on your channel as it grows.
So, for example, the community tab is somewhere you can post an image, and I do that of just about every show, and we'll do that for this show together with you, Graham. If I get feedback and likes, does that signal to YouTube that sends a positive message to YouTube? The fact that the community is interacting with that content in a positive way?
Maybe it does, but it signals to you that the audience have liked it, and that the more you do that, then hopefully the more the audience will also respond to that. So what you're doing is you are forming a relationship with the audience that in broadcast simply doesn't exist, right? You just distribute the content and that's it. You maybe Barb tells you how many people watched it. That's it. This is about building a healthy relationship and really telling users that you care. They are kind of telling YouTube that they feel that by watching more content and engaging more with the channel. So again, it's YouTube, or the algorithm that operates on YouTube, is sort of like the amplifier of those effects, but it doesn't create them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is an element of both, but really it's about the audience.
Nurture your audience. Don't worry too much about the algorithm, because that will follow, right? If it's getting positive feedback from your community and it's building, YouTube will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number two.
Okay, so this is quite an interesting one. So this is about making sure not just that you use all the features of YouTube per se, but that you are delivering content of different lengths that different people are looking for. Everyone is different. Not everybody wants to watch a 3-hour marathon of all the episodes from Chips, maybe. Let's stick with the example. Some of them might just want to watch the funniest bits from season 1, or all the times that the motorbikes crashed or something. I don't know. There are shorts. There's maybe just single episodes. There are maybe double episodes. So and there's no upper limit, right? You can put a 6-hour video up on your YouTube channel if you want to, and there will undoubtedly be some people who'll watch it. Some of them all the way through. So this is about making sure that you balance what people want to watch with finally the metric that you're trying to achieve. So if your goal is absolute views, then probably shorts and short clips are going to deliver the volume, but that's not necessarily going to translate into watch time. You have to watch an awful lot of 30-second shorts to get to the same as a 2-hour marathon. So if you're looking more for watch time and revenue, then putting double episodes, triple episodes, full series sometimes will help to service that need. And so it doesn't. There may be some people thinking, well, I've only got access to clip content. Like contractually, I can't put full episodes up. Well, that's fine. You can make clips, and you can put lots of clips together to make a 30-minute episode or 30-minute video. Or the reverse, I've only got a full library of full-length episodes. This sounds like loads of work. Well, yes, but you can slowly start to feed in the 15-minute clips. It will become evident if you nurture your community, what their favorite elements of your show are, things that they maybe want to see all in one go, favorite characters, favorite moments, all of that sort of stuff. And you can start to cherry pick the elements that you want to put in those snackable pieces of content.
So talking about multi-episode episodes, if you like, or multi-episode clips, what's the longest YouTube video that you can actually publish?
Oh, I feel like I don't know the answer to that question.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure there must be an upper limit.
I might try all of our YouTube videos together and see if we can get a 100-hour video going up. All right, and then number 1, Graham.
Number 1, again, I think this is really important, and probably this has been lost on some of my colleagues as well, is think about the audience, not the algorithm. the YouTube algorithm is not Dr. Evil in a room with levers. It's not lots of Dr. Evils with lots of levers. The algorithm isn't deciding whether your content is going to be successful or not. The algorithm isn't the algorithm. It's a series of multiple different functions that are aiming to deliver certain outcomes within the YouTube platform. Some to do with viewing, some to do with safety, some to do with showing people content they haven't seen. All of the different ways in which YouTube optimizes itself. But YouTube itself is focusing on watch time, numbers of hours watched. It wants people to stay on the platform longer, like all the platforms do, really. They just want people to stick with them rather than with others, for the obvious reason that they get to see more ads. So I would try and avoid this, and it comes into quite a few of the elements, right? The thumbnails, the titles. You can obsess about the click-through rate on the thumbnails, or how many people are seeing my video because of the tags. It's not the algorithm that's giving you that information. It's the people that are out there searching for content, searching for something to watch. What the algorithm is doing is seeing something that works and then powering that up to see how much it will work. So maybe this video has proven popular in the last week. I'm going to try it with this new audience, have a look if that was successful, still getting more viewing. Fine, I'll try it with this new audience, and it will keep doing that until it reaches a certain point, and then presumably it will start to roll back again. And so really that's what I would say. We make TV for people. We don't make TV for the TV set. And so we're making video content for people to watch and enjoy and come back and watch again. And that's what I think you should stay true to, rather than, wow, the algorithm is doing this and the algorithm is doing that. And so I heard somebody say that if you tweak this thing here, it would make you get an extra 50% of viewing. Well, no, it's not. It's the audience that are going to decide whether they're going to watch your stuff or not.
All right. Fantastic. Graham, thank you so much for joining us this week. There's 10 brilliant tips there that everybody can take advantage of. And, I look forward to speaking to the rest of the Little Dot team in the weeks ahead with more and more tips for TV producers and how to use YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for this week's show. Telecast was produced by Spirit Studios and recorded in London. And don't forget, for more YouTube tips for TV producers and content creators, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. We'll see you next week.